Hi, I'm Miss Andrea.
And I'm Miss Mare.
And this is Cheese Press.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into some of the things that are just truths about homeschooling in general. Let me actually, yes, that is the one that I want to start.
We were supposed to be talking about homeschooling. We went off.
We did. But that's part of homeschooling because it is a natural byproduct for the students in a homeschool environment to develop the skill of being able to talk to anybody across any age group. But there's still a maturity level, a thinking level, a life experience level of knowing when and where you can defy authority. And when you have people who are in authority positions, it's often where somebody gets preyed upon. And so if you're developing these skills of being friendly to and developing camaraderie with people who are in positions of authority, then you have to have that corresponding distrust of authority. So diving back into things that are just part of homeschooling, and the homeschool community can be very flaky. All right, so everybody's running their own schedule.
We've experienced that.
Homeschooling is flexible. You combine that with more independent personalities, because those are the people who are going to say, you know what, that whole traditional school thing's not for us. They wind up doing their own thing. So people will likely sign up for things and then not show or not pay for events. And you've got people who are trying to plan these special gatherings with other homeschool families. You have 20 people register, 3 show up, 15 say, never mind, I can't be there, and you're stuck waiting for...
I had so many visuals in my head, and I'm hoping I can capture them all.
Go for it.
The first one is homeschoolers are flaky, and the best I can picture is you popping popcorn in an open pan.
Okay.
And then they just start all over the place. The second one is, in my early homeschool days, I did say, yeah, I'm going to go to this event. And I would go to the event, and it was up. It would go to Nutcracker at the Fox. It was Nutcracker people. It was like, it's Nutcracker? What the heck? I paid money to see 20 minutes of the Nutcracker? Are you messing with me?
So the kind of shows sort of that are designed for the short attention spans. And
another time they were like, let's get all the young men together. Let's run a bros group. And we're going to bring all the bros together and they're going to bro. And they went, bro. And clearly I have an attitude, right? And then, I brought the little bro, but I also had a sister. And I brought Jordan with me. And Jordan hanging back and letting the bros bro.
Right.
And parents came up to me and told me I should have found a babysitter for my child and not brought her.
Yeah.
Do what I want. And then another time I went to the bro thing. And then the woman who organized it, her son was a bully. And that's why she was organizing it, because her son couldn't keep no friends. And then when I said I wasn't coming back no more, she called me a traitor to the bro movement.
You were part of the bro movement? I didn't know that about you. That seems like an odd thing for you to be a part of.
So, people who are really good at organizing homeschool things. Really. And I've thought about doing it. I've thought about, thinking about how we're going to pivot and where we're going to go.
Sure.
I've thought about maybe we should just be activities and things like that. But you have to have a reputation for planning stellar events and opportunities. They can't become stale and they can't be stupid.
Right.
Number one. Number two, there's so many things that a homeschooler may double book themselves on purpose or by accident and then go with the wind on that morning.
Right. And that actually is something that appears elsewhere in the thread. Talking about burnout is a very real issue when you're talking about homeschooling. You see all of these things that are available to you, and you want to do all of the co-ops, all of the events, all of the field trips, all of the things, and
then you want to do all of the lay down. I'm going to lay down now.
Yeah.
We did all that the first 4 or so years, but then we settled into a homeschool program that we were real comfortable in. I knew it was stringent. I knew what I was doing at home with them was going to round out their education. And we lost some of the spontaneity because the things they were learning required weekly attendance. And that's where we struggle. We struggle with people going, why is it a full semester? It's a full year class? I have to commit for the whole... That's where we struggle. I have to commit for the whole year?
You do. Because we're teaching high schoolers.
Chemistry.
And we're teaching high schoolers.
Yeah. World, history.
Yep.
I can only make it so bite-sized. Here's the thing, we teach in a way that builds in context. So your child doesn't just know names and dates, but they know what happened and how it happened. Just like
and why.
Like most of us have a good passing knowledge of the Bible, but most of us can't sit there and quote scriptures, but we can tell you the story.
Right.
And so we want kids to be able to tell the whole story of history and why things happened. And so if you're gonna get quality and depth that colleges are gonna go, things get shut down in high school. And I had 2 parents say to me this week that they understood that once their kids got to high school, that the spontaneity was going to go away even as a homeschooler. And it does. Because they should be doing enrolling. They should be doing college.
Right.
Honestly.
That actually went into 2 other things, and I've forgotten them both.
Okay.
Spontaneity. Okay. One of them, this is going to actually fork into 2 different conversations.
Squirrel's gonna squirrel.
Gotta hold it.
Okay.
First one is even at younger grades.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk. Okay, remember what both of them are right at the moment. One is about flexibility. Remind me flexibility, and one is about children's mental health.
Okay.
We've been talking a lot from the parent perspective.
Mm-hmm.
How do parents do the homeschooling? How do you stay engaged? How do you provide the best for your student? You also have to look at it very individually for each student. And some students, homeschooling by its nature tends to be this very fluid, very flexible thing.
It's as fluid and flexible as the parent is. And parents who get into homeschooling tend to lean toward the more fluid and flexible.
Except it should be as fluid and as flexible as the child wants it to be. Because there are some kids that lack of schedule, that lack of routine, that lack of structure is going to drive them crazy. And so you have to do what is right for your child. Mm-hmm. And if your child needs routine, if your child needs 2 days out of the house and 3 days in the house, then that's what you have to do as a homeschool parent.
When around 5th grade, my son was very plain. And so to get your children to be plain with you, you have to have open dialogue with your kids. What do you think? What do you feel? How's this going? How's that going? And I just remember him kind of, he'd always have his top lip out just a little. I know I was about to get talking to. He'd be like, I can't focus on my schoolwork half a day and then go out and do something and then come back and do more schoolwork. He's like, I like this homeschool program. I like going to it 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week. But on those days we're not doing that, can we come home and just focus on our schoolwork? And that was a very specific request from an 11, 12-year-old. And when that boy talked, I listened.
Yeah.
He knew. Now, did his sister need something more wiggly wobbly? Maybe. But that was his younger sister, so she had time.
Right. And that's what you have to do. You have to listen to your child. You have to develop a relationship where open dialogue is possible. Clearly, you read that list of things from the individual who had been homeschooled and it didn't go well. Clearly, that open dialogue was not possible in that house.
Right.
You have to create an environment where that open dialogue is a thing. And when a child expresses something to you that is opposite from your nature, you have to prioritize the child.
You can't get an attitude with your kids. They're only babies for so long. Like, kids are on either side of 30. They were only really under my educational influence for 9, 10 years. That decade out of my life is not going to make or break me that I deferred to someone else's needs for that short amount of time. It was not that big of a sacrifice. Up until we started homeschooling, which was 2nd and 4th grade, we kind of things based on what I needed and wanted.
Right.
Then when they graduated, back to what I needed and wanted. I've wanted some weird things. But if your goal is to raise a child, pay attention.
But raising them doesn't necessarily mean imprinting your view of the world.
It means the opposite of imprinting we have rules for ourselves. Look, have talks with your significant other about kids before you have kids and make sure you are on the same page. because we had some very distinct rules and he held me to them. Because there were times when I was about to deviate because they was getting on my nerves. But it was, we're not going to frustrate the children unnecessarily. You challenge children.
Right.
You don't frustrate them.
You do have to have challenge for growth.
We said we are never going to cry over spilled milk. Didn't realize that meant we also weren't going to cry over inked lampshades and a full wall vomited on in a brand new house. I did cry, but I did it in the closet.
Because sometimes we have to.
When I spent a week decorating a room, painting it butter yellow, and then hand sculpting a wallpaper border and putting that up. The child came behind me, got a tube of my lipstick, and then kissed the entire room all the way around at her height to make a separate border.
You raised an artist.
Someone did grab me by the waist as I was marching in.
You raised an artist.
Oh, she is an artist. It was like, she's just making her touch. I was like, touch her. Because I'm human.
Right.
You just had rules that we said weird things to each other. And it was like, don't touch the babies too much. Don't try to turn them into you.
Right.
Frustrate them. Don't punish necessarily. Don't yell over mistakes.
Yeah.
As far as our kids knew, there were 3 rules. Don't be stupid. Don't lie to me. And when you make a mistake, come get me.
I have heard a 4th one.
It may have been a sub.
I think it's a sub under "Don't be stupid." If you wind up doing
child.
Yeah, if you wind up doing something that gets you in trouble, make sure it was your idea, not somebody else's.
Yeah, there was a sub under the Don't be stupid, and they were becoming teens, and they were having friends and relatives. And I said, if I have to get you from jail, you had better have been the mastermind, or you're going to stay there. Please don't tell me that you got caught up in something someone else was doing. Yeah, the sub of Don't be stupid.
All right, so then a totally different track over here.
Oh, flexibility?
What's the flexibility?
Okay.
So you will often see, if you go to homeschool advice boards, advice that makes it sound like homeschooling is infinitely customizable. It is not. Homeschooling is not infinitely customizable.
They say that homeschooling is infinitely customizable because there's as many types of homeschoolers as there are people. That's not even true. There are only so many people types.
Yeah. Broadly fits into a handful of different categories, but every family, every homeschool, you're going to be limited by how many resources you have to put into that, whether that's money or time. There are some homeschooling families that both parents have to work in order to make the money to keep the household afloat.
I know a homeschool family. They're in a big company and mom ran the foundation. And they were homeschooled by household employees.
Yeah, you got the resources for it, then that could be your homeschooling journey too. But realistically, you're going to be limited by your household resources, be that time or money. You're going to be limited by the needs of the child. If you have educational needs,
the needs of the child are going to rule.
That's it. That's your number one. Like the first cap on your flexibility should be the needs of your child.
Whether my daughter needed to not be in school.
But and that's where it kind of goes back to that schedule, that there are going to be some students who the anxiety created by the free-for-all life of homeschooling can be devastating to some children. And so you're going to be capped by personality needs like that, where you might need structure, you might need no structure, you might need something in the middle.
And you might need structure for 2 years and then freedom for 2 years.
And you might need
because 2 years of structure sets up a lifetime.
It really does.
Habits.
Teaching that self-discipline, that's a mandatory thing that you have to teach for a young person to grow into a successful adult. They don't know how to regulate themselves to achieve what they want to achieve, then they may have all the big dreams in the world, but they don't have the tools to achieve those dreams.
I've seen some brilliant children think they couldn't do anything because they didn't have the tools to structure out and plan and execute. Fortunately, most of those kids we've been able to convince otherwise. But it's easier if you have the structure first. And then the talent and joy and genius shows up easier.
I was going to say, there is kind of difference between you've got a true lack of skill and then there's the lack of self-confidence.
So lack of self-confidence is going to show up in lack of regulation.
Right.
Because it doesn't, true artists are more taste than skill at first. And so they have this incredible taste. They know what's good. They know what's not good. I've seen 7-year-olds critique Monet.
Mm-hmm.
My 7-year-old critiqued Monet.
That tracks.
Yeah.
There's that gap between your
Right.
eye and your ability to
So they
execute.
know what's good. And then they do it with their hand and they're like, this is trash. And it
is,
can't get them
honestly.
to keep doing it over and over again until their skill gets to their taste. Then you're missing an opportunity
Or at
for
least
true
close.
genius.
They may
Because
never think that their
in
skill
there.
catches up with their
No,
taste.
all artists are insecure.
Because here's the thing, your eye might start good, but as your experience gets better, your eye gets better too.
Right.
So you may never fully close the gap, but you can get much closer.
Yeah.
And you have to take the time to develop the skill and lots of repetition and lots of doing the thing in order to
I've
develop
told
that.
several kids this, and if you have artists, tell them this as well. When you finish your art degree, if you're an artist, you apply to go to France and study at the Louvre. Can't say it. Study there. What are they going to make you do?
I've never been part of that program.
Copy the great works for 3 years, over and over and over. Build muscle memory on how these things are done, and then at that point, you're free to create your own works.
Yeah, see, I'm accustomed to that same philosophy through, well, it starts in Chinese art and kind of into Japanese and Korean, but it's have to do the masters however many times before you're allowed to even consider doing your own
is
thing.
also Chinese construct. It's good.
It is.
And
So-
you have to get your child to repeat things over and over. You have to get your child to do things rote. I don't care if they're scientists. I don't care if they're mathematicians. I don't care if they're artists. We're just very
If they're a writer.
arts minded. If they're a writer, you have to get them to just keep doing it. Be like Hamilton. Just keep writing.
Right.
Just keep doing it, and then you're going to see yourself blossom in your creativity.
Which, to that point, and this is one thing about homeschooling, they don't have to take summers off.
I don't believe in it.
Do math every day.
I don't believe in summers off.
Do
because
math every single day, whether it's math games, whether it's, just practice worksheets, do math every single day, whether
just
you're
an hour.
learning something new or not.
the difference between graduating at 14, 15, or 16 and graduating at 18 and 19 is doing math during the summer.
Because this is also for
No brain drain, no backtrack.
with homeschool families, math is one of the most commonly neglected
Is there
subjects.
something in there?
There are a whole bunch of comments
Is there
about.
anything in there we could share?
There are a whole bunch of comments because the conversation that this kicked off. Math is something that students are it actually came from the comment that I made earlier about the discipline problems. If little Susie won't unload the dishwasher while in traditional school, when you start homeschooling, little Susie won't do math. That was the comment that
Did we discuss that with the
Spark
people,
off.
that overall thing with the people?
I don't know. We're
Circle
talking
back
about the
around.
needs and your
Well,
expectations for homeschool. It's not infinitely customizable and flexible.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are.
Hi.
And so math every day. This is not customizable and flexible. What was your theory about why math tends to be, while reading and writing are the stronger thing that just about any homeschooler comes out with strong reading and writing skills?
Adults continue to read and write for the rest of their lives. But when they've been told they've reached a level of math they need to reach,
Unless
they're
it's
in
math.
a math career.
So if you're an accountant,
what
if
I'm
you're
seeing
an actuary.
is that unless the parent is in a math-focused career, the kids come out with weak math skills. It's not that all homeschoolers are literary geniuses. It's that they didn't have anyone pushing them through that math. And that's so natural because we always still read and we always still write. So the kids are like, Mom and Dad are reading and writing. They're not afraid of that.
Well,
but
also,
no one at home is doing math, and when they ask Mom and Dad a math question, they see fear and confusion in the eyes.
Whereas grammar, like, you might not be able to explain exactly what a dangling participle is. But when you turn on the television, when you have conversations with the average human on the street, you develop a language mastery where you subconsciously understand the grammar rules because you're having conversations with other humans. And grammar rules are just the thing that governs how clear it is to communicate from one person to another. You know, the brown big bear argument of, you know, many people can explain the order of adjectives in the English language, which there is an explanation for it. And
I don't know anything about this brown big bear.
Does that sound correct to you?
I don't know anything about it.
If somebody said to you, I saw a brown big bear, that doesn't sound right, it's a big brown bear.
Why?
Because in English, adjectives go in a specific order. And if you do those out of order, it sounds wrong. And so this is something that foreign language students struggle with because it's not something, if you ask an English language speaker what order your adjectives go in, you'd get the blue screen. Like, this have an order, but adjectives absolutely have an order because if somebody walks up to you and says brown big bear, you're going to be like, oh, that's not correct. So you're going to get those things just by existing. Whereas math, if you don't take the time to consciously teach that in a specific order, because it is a subject that builds on the stuff you learned before it.
You can't do math out of order.
You can't if you're not strong in addition.
And you can't do chemistry if you're not taking algebra 2. Don't do that. Okay.
If you can't add and subtract, then multiplying and dividing is going to be hard. And if you don't know those, then you can't get to fractions and to decimals. And you know.
What we're doing is frustrating them. And what turns them off from academics is confusion and frustration. There's a fix. Hire tutors. I did this because we run a homeschool program. We don't do it for our personal grins and giggles. We do it because there are people out there who would not do it for our personal grins and giggles. We do it because there are people out there who something that they can't teach. And we teach it. My years of actively homeschooling, I was a homeschool blogger for several channels. And a million times I said, the most important thing you need to know in homeschooling is when to ask for help. So if math freaks you out, don't let your children see the crazy eyes. Just say, I found someone who can teach you math. And you know what? Linger around and relearn some math.
Right.
Because your children are gonna adapt your fear.
Right. And because if you're taking a class at a co-op, it's probably not meeting 5 days a week, and there's probably going to be homework. I mean, homework even if your students in a traditional school.
Right.
And so lingering helps you be able to answer the questions in the homework. I mean, you can always Google how to solve something and then learn it together that way, but gives you the opportunity to brush up on it before they have questions. That also goes into the homeschooling is not as infinitely customizable as the internet would have you believe. Because you are limited by your resources, you're limited by your child's needs. You're also limited by kind of have to have a mastery of certain level in your basic educational subjects. We use the requirements to apply for college when we talk about at what point has a child achieved graduation.
If they can hit 1100 on the SAT or higher, we know they're ready for college. If they can write an essay that comes out on a Flesch-Kincaid score of grade 11, 12, 13, 14, we know they're ready for college.
Right.
And then there's certain information that you just need to have.
Well,
you gotta have your American history and things of that nature.
Because if you fill out a college application, colleges are going to look for certain subjects. They're gonna look for 2 or 3 sciences. If you're going to
Lab
or a
sciences.
Georgia Tech, they're going to want 4. Everybody's going to look for 4 years of language arts,
Yes.
2 or 3 years of a social studies or history.
And it changes from year to year. I aim for 4 of everything and then 2 of foreign language because every now and then they rewrite it and it's 4 again and then they start backing it back down.
2 years of the same foreign language
Yes.
is generally what a college would like to see on an application. And so our advice to students as we're helping them prepare for graduating high school is to pick the most difficult school that they would consider going to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one that we want to make sure that they've got all of the credits for.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one we want to write their portfolio for. Because
Mm-hmm.
if they can get into the hardest college that they're looking at, anything else on their list will be easy enough to get into.
Right.
Because that's how not only do you get in, but that's also how they give you money.
Right.